Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another full album listen and one to end 2025. Welcome one and all, ladies and gentlemen, to the channel. I hope that you're having a wonderful, fantastic day out there, a wonderful end to 2025 as well. And I was thinking, what album do I want to end the year with? And this is the one that I've chosen. We are going to listen to Pyramid, the Alan Parsons Project, their third studio album released in 1978. So there were quite a number of suggestions with this particular album, such as recommended by Busy Casual, Gaia Eternal, Eric Dupont, Milan Stasny, Salin, Handy, Rich G. Hold on, there's several of you. Doppelinger, Alntak, AK, Deeper Mind, Gallier, Steve Menard, Shannon Bennett, there's a lot of you. Palantir, Mr. Cray Anderson, Massive Reader, Keith BK, Cy Mantronic, Shannon Bennett, and Doppelinger again. Thank you guys for the suggestion. Thank you for the recommendation in regards to this album. We've, of course, covered some Alan Parsons Project, and I'm excited to do so with this particular album. Why did we choose this album? Like I said, I just went through their discography, saw this one had been suggested quite a bit. Said, let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and dive into it. I've left the the Christmas decorations up. I figured, why not, right? It's kind of tradition. Even after the 25th, you leave it up for a little bit longer. So I left it up for a little bit longer. so that's that. Before we dive into it, of course, just to get the plugs out the way, the Buy Me a Coffee is there. If you'd like to sponsor a song request or even an album request, you can do so there. The Buy Me or the Patreon for exclusive content, and right here on YouTube, where you're already at. Just pressing that like button helps a great deal. Sharing the video helps a lot as well on your socials. And subscribing if you're interested, and if you'd like to see a little bit more further content in the end. Before we dive into it, let me open my window a little bit more because I forgot to do that. I forgot to open it so I can actually look outside. Sometimes I like to just have a little bit of a window to the outside world, just to glance out there just to see what's happening, every once in a while we're listening to the music and such. So anyways, which way these headphones go? I turn them upside down. We're going the wrong way, brother. One more time. We are ready to dive in. Thank you as always for being here. I appreciate you all watching. Whether it's your first time showing up in here, welcome. We sit here, we listen to music that is maybe underappreciated, correctly appreciated, or even overappreciated. We just dive into it all, and we look for anything to appreciate in it. And we're just here to listen and just relax listening to the music. I'm not a conductor that studies the scales and this and that of the music. I just want to listen to the music and enjoy it, and I hope that you guys do as well. So let's go ahead and dive into the album, my friends. Before we do so, I actually meant to mention from the top comment that I have here from Busy Casual, who had recommended this particular track or album. He did say that the first three tracks actually are supposed to be played together. So that would be Voyager, What Goes Up, and The Eagle Will Rise Again. So we'll make sure that we play those all in one. And otherwise, let's go ahead and dive into it, my friends. This sip of holiday blend coffee, which who knows what that means, has that holiday cheer, that holiday magic in it, is to you. That's not what I meant to play. I spangled up. synth just gently rose here. Okay.
What goes up must come down. What must rise must fall, and what goes on in your life is writing on the wall. If all things must fall, why build a miracle at all?
Good line.
If all things must pass, even a miracle won't last. What goes up must come down. What must stand alone, and what goes on
What's that time signature?
your mind is turning into stone. If all things must fall, why build a miracle at all? If all things must pass, even a pyramid won't last.
I like how calm this track is. It's very minimalistic in its approach. Interesting change at the horns here.
How can you be so sure? How do you know what the earth will endure? How can you be so sure that the wonders you've made in your life will be seen by the millions who follow to visit the site of your dream? What goes on
Right back down.
must come down.
Now he's singing it different, like it sounds like it's on a different time signature there.
Must come round.
They're just hitting it straight now, 4/4.
What's been lost must be found.
Is that a little bit of orchestration at the end, huh?
at the call of the wind's command.
That's lovely.
Many words are spoken when there's nothing to say. They fall upon the ears of those who don't know the way to read between the lines, that lead between the lines, that lead me to you. All that I ask you is show me how to follow you, and I'll obey. Teach me how to reach you, I can find my own way. Let me see the light, let me be the light.
That is gorgeously emotional. I love when those soft harmonies, the vocals come in,
As the
like pushing him up.
sun turns slowly around the sky, till the shadow of night is high, the eagle will learn to fly, and the days of his life are but grains of sand as they fall from your open hand and vanish upon the land.
That tugs a little bit.
Many words are spoken when there's nothing to say. They fall upon the ears of those who don't know the way to read between the lines by following the signs that can lead to you. But show me how to follow you and I'll obey. Teach me how to reach you, I can find my own way. Let me see the light, let me be the light. And so, with no warning, no last goodbye, in the dawn of the morning sky, the eagle will rise again.
That was a wonderful trio of songs to introduce us into the album. The first thing that stands out to me is for all three of these tracks. While there are moments of excitement and adventure, a lot of it is taken in such pace and taking their time in building up, in almost a minimalistic sense, these really wonderfully emotional and powerful songs. And each of them are very distinct. You know, if we were to take each of these tracks individually, they're very distinct from one another. Voyager, I love this very calm and deliberate build-up in the music. The way that it starts almost in the distance, and it makes me think of the Voyager, like the was it a satellite? It makes me think of that. And like sending signals from outer space, and the way that it starts off in the distance and slowly but surely gets closer and closer. I love that wonderful melodic buildup at the end. I think that Voyager just has this really great introduction. And as soon as it builds up towards that end, when it moves into the next track, what goes up, naturally, I guess what follows is the coming down. And the music just comes down into this, I think, really soulful and yet incredibly minimalistic sound there. And it's just really cool how that went back and forth there, because off of the back end of Voyager, I was expecting it to really kind of blow up melodically, and there's moments of that, but it's so contained and concentrated that I think that was absolutely wonderful. And then as it moves into Eagle Rise again, it gets so emotional, it becomes heartfelt. To me, it's a heartstring puller. A tugger for sure. The singing in there was absolutely sensational. If I'm just speaking of that track for right now, the singing in that track with Eagle is going to be performed by Colin Blunstone. And if I click on his Wikipedia article, you guys can see what I see. English singer and songwriter, as I've never heard of him. He came to prominence in the 60s as lead singer of The Zombies, which released 4 singles. He was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He's a recurring guest vocalist with Alan Parsons Project. Have I heard him before? I may have actually heard him before. I'm just probably forgetting, if I'm being honest. Solo albums, compilations, singles, guest appearances. Pyramid, okay, we're doing that now. Have not heard these albums from Alan Parsons Project, and I have only heard the first 2 tracks from this album. So I cannot say. Oh, and he was apparently in Steve Hackett's Watcher of the Skies Genesis or Visitor. That's kind of cool. So, no, I don't believe that I actually have any experience with him. But his voice was suitably emotional, and it carried a certain weight that, like I said, I mean, to me, he can almost leave you teary-eyed just by the way that he sings here, sounding extremely sentimental. But listen, let me go back up really quick into the Voyager. Like I said, this is all very spacey, making me think of that Outer Space Transmission. But by the end, it gets into that groove, man. And it locks it in so tightly. But see how it's so, like, patient. And that focus on the melodies, that strong synth coming in, just kind of gently coming in. Wow, wow, wow. It's just so calm and peaceful. And even the drums there, like I said, everything to me is very small and minimalistic in the way it's approached. The rhythm mostly played on the side stick, or the side of the snare rather. Instead of like on the snare, the groove is very, very concerted. And then the bass line just kind of plodding beneath it. Bum, 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 bum. Just adding a nice hum to it. There's a moment in there where it does double up. Bum, 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 bum. Almost like it's building up to something. But then it cuts itself back in half again at that particular point, which I thought was kind of cool. All right, so bass is going to be performed by David Patton on here. Stuart Elliott is the drummer here. And let's see. Duncan McKay is going to be who's handling the synth that you hear in there. And then as it moves on, so like I said, with What Goes Up, the time signature changes, interestingly, as we kind of get into the first real song of the album. And I like how it kind of stretches things out a little bit here. Love how it moves right back into that chorus. Right? And it's cool because it throws in a weird kind of time signature there. I wasn't keeping count. I wasn't trying to keep count. I was just listening to the music. But I think that's interesting how it's approached, because the sound itself it sounds conventional 70s pop at this time. But then, you know, that little time signature thing throws it off a little bit. But then they clean it up at the end. They stop doing that. So it's just kind of cool how that maneuvered. And in this track with What Goes Up, you have 2 vocalists. Like I said, that's David Patton. And then additional vocals by Dean Ford as well. A Scottish singer and songwriter best known for his tenure as lead vocalist of the group Marmalade, which I've never heard of them either. But I do like how both of their vocals work very well together, accenting one another. And the moments in the chorus when, let me see if I can find the chorus real quick. Here you go. When those vocals just wonderfully harmonize and are kind of like a section of a choir built up in the back. It has this really mellow and yet gustful push beneath the chorus there as it pops back into what goes on, into that part. And then the solo. This was like a kind of left field outing when the music changed at this particular point and that solo came in, but it was a welcome left field outing. I don't mind going on this trip. And then as soon as it starts up, it brings it right back down again into the groove. And like I said, this one feels like the beginning of the story, at least in the album. Whereas Voyager is like a nice intro. And then you have some nice orchestration that rounds it all out before you get into, once again, the very emotional Eagle Rise. I'm not going to play too much of it, but let me see if I can find... This is all just gorgeous emotions. And it takes like a mellow, introspective look back, something personal about it. Just a really nice way to end this particular trio of tracks. Okay, let's get into the lyrics for What Goes Up. Just pulling it up here really quick. Okay, what goes up must come down, what must rise must fall, and what goes on in your life is writing on the wall. Writing on the wall for what? What is the future? What is it foretelling? If all things must fall, why build a miracle at all? If all things must pass, even a miracle won't last. Like, it's almost a nihilistic point of view. Why bother put effort into anything if it's all going to pass or decay? It's impermanence. What goes on up must come down. What must stand alone? What goes on in your mind is turning to stone. If all things must fall, why build a miracle at all? Okay. How can you be so sure? How do you know the earth will endure? How can you be so sure that the wonders you've made in your life will be seen by the millions who will follow to visit the site of your dream? So I'll look into the Wikipedia article here in a moment, but I mean, the pyramids built to last. I mean, they're, built as monuments and tombs for pharaohs and kings and such. And it almost seems like maybe this trio of tracks, but in totality, the album is taking a look at that, the questioning of impermanence. Why bother putting effort into something that won't last, that is impermanent, and you'll be forgotten along with whatever you built? What is the point? Let's look at the... Actually, before I look at the Wikipedia article, let me look at the next track. Let's look at the lyrics there. And I could easily fall from grace, then another would take my place. This is almost acting as the answer. For the chance to behold your face in the days of my life are but grains of sand, as they fall from your open hand. Right? Admitting the futility of life, the ending, right? At the call of the wind's command. Many words are spoken when there's nothing to say. They fall upon the ears of those who don't know the way. To read between the lines that lead between the lines, that's nice, that lead me to you. All that I ask you is show me how to follow you and I'll obey. Teach me how to reach you. I can't find my own way. Let me see the light. This almost reads to me as a prayer or as a supplication of sorts. It almost reads out to me as reaching out to a God or reaching out to any sort of force for direction in life. As the sun turns slowly around the sky till the shadow of night is high, the eagle will learn to fly. Like, it is instinctual. Despite any troubles, the night, or what this and that, the eagle will learn to fly. Mankind will rise to these questions. And the days of his life are but grains of sand as they fall from your open hand and vanish upon the land. And so, with no warning, no last goodbye, in the dawn of the morning sky, the eagle will rise again. Man will always struggle against what? Any sort of difficulty, any sort of obstacle. It's just our nature. Let's look at the Wikipedia article really quick, just to see if there is any concept, which I'm seeing it right here. Concept album centered on the pyramids of Giza. At the time the album was conceived, interest in pyramid power and King Tut was widespread in the US and UK. It was nominated for the 78 Grammy for Best Engineered Non-Classical Album. So if you don't mind, pyramid power, never heard of this. It's a belief that the pyramids of Egypt and objects of similar shape can confer a variety of benefits. Among these supposed properties are the ability to preserve foods, sharpen or maintain the sharpness of razor blades, improve health, function as a thought form incubator, trigger sexual urges and cause other effects. Such unverified conjecture regarding pyramids are collectively known as pyramidology. There's no evidence that this exists. Okay, yeah, I get it. I get it. Whoops, I didn't mean to take you guys off. I understand. So if we're kind of going off of that, I think the lyrics, it's kind of esoteric in that regard then. I think it is reaching out to the divine for answers then that are seeked. And for now, that's all I want to read about there. I just wanted to see and make sure that it was a concept album or at least has some sort of theme going through it. Let's move on to the next track here, which is going to be One More River. Nothing. This has some bite to it. it back. This track has a little of everything, I would say. And of course, you put some sax in it. I'm in, brother. Burner too. Love the tone on that bass. Let it loose. Every time that sax comes in, it rips through. I love that when he softens it.
And one more road, one last bridge, and one less load.
It's transitioning again. Let me let it go. Let me let it go. It was clearly meant to be her together, I think. But man, one more river. That synth has a kind of Egyptian sound to it. Taking your soul. That's heavy. Yeah, you can. They do such a great job of creating this kind of space. Love the castanets in there too. And that clicking.
Well, I sympathize completely, but there's nothing I can do. I am just obeying orders. I'm a simple soul like you. Well, you really are persuasive, but I've heard it all before. And the boatman's getting restless as he stands upon
Say, hurry up.
and you can't take it with you, no matter what you do. No, you can't take it with you, not the place you're going to.
I like how this guitar is raw. Then you have that melodic guitar playing right underneath it. Or keys. That sounds like a Pink Floyd solo, to be honest. Oh, okay. Okay, time signature's out. 7/8. I got you. 7/8 and then switch in between. Normal. And so that ends the first side of the album. Okay, One More River, we're only halfway through, is my favorite on here right now. But let's talk about Can't Take It With You first of all. I love the lyrics and the theme there. You know, I'm assuming, based off everything, you know, you can't take your material things with you. You can't take life with you. When you die, that's it. You leave it all behind. The boatman, he's got somewhere to be. He's stressing out, saying, "Get on board. We gotta go. We gotta catch this ferry. Sharon's calling to you." And I love the lyrics there, the message, and the music is really, really strong as well. I love the drums and how powerful those are when they appear. You know, those big toms, boom, like hitting that really nicely. The guitar solo was also really nice. It sounded like to be honest, like a Pink Floyd kind of guitar solo. It sounded something that Gilmore might play. Once again, guitar here on the album truly is going to be Ian Bjarnson, I said Bjornson. I don't know if that's exactly how I pronounce it, but he's playing the guitar, and it's fantastic. And what I really enjoy about the guitar solo is right beneath it, I think that it's another guitar, either overdubbed or whatever, or it could just be keys of some sort. But I like how it provides a mellow, kind of gentle track for that guitar solo to kind of rough right on top of. A little bit. There you go. Well, it's a little too far. Back it up, back it up, back it up. Here you go. So here's it's very dreamy. I like how that dreamy sound is underneath it, just kind of wavering. like cool little waves while that guitar solo rips it up really, really nicely there. The ending closing part is kind of backing between 7/8 and 8/8, I guess there, which is a nice way to, throw you off a little bit. It's a fun, mellow, cooled out of an outro, but it throws you off. Singing once again is really fantastic in here. Yeah, this track is going to be Dean Ford, as we heard in What Goes Up, returning for this track to take it in isolation. And it all sounds really good. I think that this is a really cool track and a great way to end this side. I want to try and find one thing really quick. Chorus is, like I said, with good with those drums. This is like a precursor to that solo later on. And I love how that sounds. But there's a portion in here that to me reminds me of another band. I'm just trying to find that little section after this. Here. This little isolated part. You know who that sounds like? I feel like in some ways that sounds like Rush. Like that guitar tone sounds very much like Alex to me. And it just makes me like, I could easily hear Geddy just hopping on this. Like, can't you hear Geddy singing on top of this? It was just what I heard. I couldn't help but think of Rush in that little isolated moment. But yeah, good song. One More River, though. One More River returns off of the back of Eagle, which was, like I said, a nice emotional closing to that trio with some bite, with a little bit of like funky, soul-filled aggression. This one was really, really good. You're going to have Lenny Zakatak on, I love that last name, Lenny Zakatak here on this particular track. Ignore the rhyme. Best work, or best known for his work with British bands Gonzalez and, of course, the Alan Parsons Project. Working with many, many others as well. I'm just trying to pull those up here. Solo work. He's worked for John Deacon. He performed with Joni Mitchell at a point. Many, many others, right? But this track, to me, this feels like centerpiece. And I know we're close to the center, but this one has it all. And then, hold on. That's snappy. Some of the musicianship in here and the instrumentation actually reminded me of the sleekness and the poppy technicality of Steely Dan. I think it hits that exact same kind of stride, that cleanliness when it comes to the instrumentation, nothing wasted, nothing left on the cutting room floor, but making it just sound like sleek and styled. It sounds like it's stylish in here. Doesn't it remind you a little bit? What you'd expect. And the saxophone, dude. You know, it takes certain things to win me over immediately, and saxophone's one of them. And the sax in this particular track is going to be performed by Phil Kenzie, happening here. And looking at his Wikipedia article, he said he's been voted by fans as one of the greatest rock and roll sax players of all time. Working with or recorded with Eagles, Graham Nash, Carly Simon, David Crosby, Black Sabbath, Annie Lennox, Al Stewart, David Bowie. A lot of people. He's been all over the place. And I love how it has that powerful, screeching, piercing note that just cuts through the music, and then he brings it in from there. That was just absolutely wonderful and a nice surprise there. And then later on, when it brings it back down, that chorus is just exciting. It sounds good. I think that this is a standout track on the album, I would say. And can I tell you something very interesting? Let me pull up Spotify on the web so you guys can actually see what I'm seeing. I just got to pull it up. Here, give me one moment. Pyramid. It doesn't show. Okay, so it doesn't show on the web version, apparently. What I'm going to show you. Let me see if I can find it. Maybe I can show you. I cannot. Okay, what I wanted to show you is on Spotify. It's kind of interesting that the plays of each of the tracks on this album. The first track, Voyager, has over 11 million plays. And out of all the tracks on this album, it's the most played one. And then the next track, 157,000. Like, are people just starting the album and then just closing it after Voyager ends? Is Voyager that popular of a track on its own, just an instrumental 2-minute build-up? Because no other track on this album has as many plays as Voyager. One More River, 1 million. In the Lap of the Gods, 2 million. Pyramania, 2.8 million. But it's kind of interesting how right after Voyager, the next two tracks, which are clearly connected, all of them, are the least played. That's just kind of weird. I feel like there's probably a reason for that, but I'm unsure of what that is. Okay, let's look at the lyrics here. First of all, for One More River. Don't look back, because there's one more river. Don't turn your back, you've got one more river to cross. No more dying, no more lying, no more cheating, no more fighting. Don't look back, because there's one more river to cross. Don't start asking the rhyme or the reason. Don't hold back, it's the time of the season. What is this one more mile, this one more bridge, this one more place? Well, he's talking about this river you got to cross, and that's Sharon's River. That is death, brother. And then let's move on to that. Can't take it with you. Well, I sympathize completely, but there's nothing I can do. I'm just a humble servant with a message here for you. This is Sharon, the boatman, talking directly to the latest soul to cross. Well, I know you have good reasons and there's things you've got to do, but the boatman, he won't be waiting and he's leaving here with you. Told you. And you can't take it with you no matter what you do. You can't take it with you, not to the place you're going. And it repeats, of course, the one more mile, one more road, one last bridge, one less road. I like that. You got one more mile, your last mile of your life. You got one more road to cross, the road of life. One last bridge, the bridge from life to death. And technically it's one less load because the load of your life is gone. You're leaving, and the things you leave behind. You're leaving empty-handed and a little lighter. Well, I sympathize completely, but there's nothing I can do. I'm just obeying orders. I'm a simple soul like you. Well, you really are persuasive, but I've heard it all before. And the boatman's getting restless as he stands upon the shore. You can't take it with you. The boatman has a schedule, and he 100% has to stick to it. Otherwise, Hades gets really mad and docks his pay for a day. Let's move on into the next track, the second side of the album, and that's going to begin with In the Lap of the Gods. Here we go. Get it? Dock his pay, boatman. This sounds like that crossing over the river. Styx. Or the Nile, I guess here. That almost has an Italian Godfather kind of soundtrack sound though. change. A bit of an abrupt change, but this sounds good. Flute returns. Got that organ sneaking in. Okay. I thought it was going to flow into the next track because it's instrumental, but it doesn't exactly have a transition like that. Okay. I love how the second side of this opens with a brilliant and epic instrumental that tells a story, and at least in my mind, kind of continues the story from the previous track and the first side, in that it was speaking about crossing. The boatman's not going to wait. He's calling for you, and you got to answer. And then to me, this basically instrumentally provides that transitional period, that transition from life to what comes after. And I think it does so extremely excellently. So at first it builds a little bit of mystery, right? It's called In the Lapse of the Gods, and it feels like we're crossing over into the land of the gods, the afterlife, and what precedes the divine. And I like how it begins so like setting the scene, the flute coming in, sounding like in my mind, kind of crossing this Nile and hearing these newer sounds. It's strange and yet familiar. And it builds up into something absolutely grand. It builds up. I'm going to see if I can find something that kind of, a picture that kind of gives me the scale that I'm kind of thinking. Because there's like a specific image in my mind, but I don't know if I can find a picture that accurately represents what I'm kind of seeing when I listen to this. I'm typing in what I think. Passage. Big statues on sides. Let's see if something comes up that's close. Let's see if something comes up that's close to what I'm thinking. Nothing at all. Okay, actually, you know what? This will work for this purpose. Just think of like an Egyptian version of this. I'm pulling something up. I'm pulling up this picture. It's from Lord of the Rings. It's from Lord of the Rings. But let me play the piece of Lap of the Gods, like the beginning. Okay. This is the march to the next world. That's what I view this as, right? This is that funeral march, basically, that dirge. But when you get from this sound, which, by the way, that sounds very much like whatever was played in like The Godfather, that kind of sound, which I'm looking at the personnel list, and it seems that that's going to be a cymbalum performed by John Leach. And in case you're wondering what the heck is a cymbalum, there you go. This is what the cymbalum is. So I imagine that that's exactly what's being played at that particular point. And I love that melody. I love the sound there, and how the orchestration is gently but powerfully building up little by little beneath this until you get to this. I'm trying to play it as I'm showing this picture. imagine that. And like you're crossing this river into the underworld, into the next life, and this is what's playing. This is the kind of image I'm thinking of. But instead of like Lord of the Rings, think of like Egyptian statues and stuff like this. Like you're crossing this river, and it's just these like huge statues and that could never be carved by humans. Only gods and divine creatures could like carve something so magnificent. Like that's what I'm kind of thinking, like something like that. And I love that. I think that is such an interesting tale that is told in a journey that is taken in just that instrumental passage. And then you get this. The transition is a little abrupt because I loved what was being built up here. You can almost hear those lost souls of vocals coming through. You hear those vocals, wordless as they are, in the back there. You did have some chants that came in, but like it just sounds like a river of souls. And then it gets into this change. Right here. And while I don't like how it transitioned, I can't deny that this sounds really cool. They were able to merge that kind of epic scale of grandeur from the beginning and the first half that they built up and move it into something rhythmic and, in their own version of pop rock or whatever you want to describe it as, that they've been doing all their album and for much of their sound. And they've been able to kind of contain that into the form of their music, which I do think is really cool. So while the transition I didn't care for, I did enjoy what it came into with this. That is fantastic. Let us move on to the next track here, which is Pyramania, which we learned about a little bit. This is such a tonal change.
I've been told someone in the know can be sure that his luck is as good as gold. Money in the bank and you don't even pay for it if you fold. A dollar in the shape of the pyramid that's printed on the back. It's no lie, you can keep the edge of a razor as sharp as an eagle's eye. You can grow a hedge that is vertically straight over 10 feet high. All you really need is a pyramid and just a little luck.
I don't.
I had read somewhere in a book they improve all your food and wine, and I've been told someone in the know can be sure of his good luck, and it's no lie. All you really need is a little bit of pyramidic help.
Pyramania. Very, very unique track. It definitely takes a left-hand turn and then another left-hand turn. And it does a U-turn, hits the cul-de-sac, realizes it's in the wrong neighborhood, comes back out, runs into the roundabout, does a 360, comes out again, makes a second left turn, or was that the third? I don't know. We're a little bit dizzy now. It is wacky. I don't know how else to describe it. It is completely different. Who is singing in this track? I don't know about this one. I believe singing here is going to be Jack Harris. Jack Harris on here. English vocalist known for performing with the English or, Alan Parsons band. I guess especially known for this single taken from this album. Capable of singing in both high and low registers. He sang backing vocals on their release. Okay, so we have heard him before then. On one hand, so first of all, I don't think I cared for this track. I didn't. It was just so tonally different, I think. Maybe that's what I'm feeling. It was so tonally different from the previous track that it just felt like out of place. I don't know if I would say it's a bad song on its own, though, because it does hit this kind of interesting, quirky, wacky kind of vibe that sounds something progressively, I don't want to say psychedelic, but adventurous, kind of like artsy. But I don't know if I cared for it or not. And his vocals, I don't know if I liked it that much. I really do think that it's more so that I don't think it fits in with the rest of the album. I don't think it's because of the track necessarily itself, although I don't feel like myself gravitating towards it in a positive light. However, I will say that the middle section, this little moment we got, I will say that this was cool, especially with that bass line. And you know what? I don't know. This works, but I don't like the way. I don't know. This is one I need some time with that one. But on the other hand, it does fit the lyrics. Pyramania, kind of someone obsessed with something, and perhaps his singing and his style of singing, his delivery is perhaps meant to embody that obsession, that kind of losing it, with the way he kind of rambles through the verse and such. I could definitely understand that tying in thematically, but I, once again, don't know if I particularly care for that. There are pyramids in my head, there's one underneath my bed, and my lady's getting cranky. Every possible location has a simple explanation, and it isn't hanky-panky. I have read somewhere in a book they improved all your food and your wine. It said that everything you grow in your garden would taste pretty fine. Instead, all I ever get is a pain in the neck and a yep. Well, you shouldn't be sleeping on it, brother. I've consulted in all the sages I could find in Yellow Pages, but there aren't many of them. And the Mayan panoramas on the pyramid pajamas haven't helped my little problem. I've been told someone in the know can be sure that his luck is good as gold, money in the bank, and you don't even pay for it. If you fold $1 in the shape of the pyramid that's printed on the back, it's no lie, you can keep the edge of a razor as sharp as an eagle's eye, which we did read in that Wikipedia article. You can grow a hedge that is vertically straight over 10 feet high. All you really need is a pyramid and just a little luck. And all you need is a little bit of pyramidic help. So I do think it's really funny. And actually the lyrics, once again, kind of cater to the music and his delivery very, very well. So that makes me appreciate it a lot more. And of course, the obsession with the pyramids. It really does sound like he's kind of losing it a little bit, a little edge of madness there. I think the lyrics are hilarious. He's really going over the edge for these pyramids. Kind of like there was that movie with Jim Carrey, the number 23, and he's like obsessed with that number. And there's a few kind of movies and media like that. So I do think it actually works very well in lieu of the music and such. So I still don't necessarily think it fits exactly with the album, but on the other hand, it clearly does. And I need a second sitting with this one. I need a second sitting with this particular track. Need some time with that one. Now, give me a moment. I'm just going to go check on the baby real quick because I hear him crying. And I just want to make sure everything's all right. I'll edit this, but I'll bring it back together. Just give me one moment, I'll be right back. When he's hungry, he cannot wait. He cries and cries and cries. You give him his little bib. Say, hold on, baby. You just hold on one brief moment. He's crying. He's fussy. But then, you sit him down. Give him one of these. All of a sudden, off to the races. And yes, got a little drool on me. Baby is fed in mommy's loving care. And I left him as he was occupied with his diaper. All right, let's move on into the next track, which is going to be Hyper Gamma Spaces. Let's get into it. I love that sequencer bass just pulsating through there. I love all the sequencers happening in here. It's a really unique sound. I think all the synth work and stuff in this track is really cool, and it kind of separates it from the rest of the tracks in a cool way. And right back to it. So cheerful too. Okay, it kind of leads in, but just to really briefly talk about hypergamma spaces, I once again like how we're like on the second half of the album, we're getting a lot of just instrumental pieces. I guess two is a lot, but and I think it works so well in kind of enunciating this journey that is taking. You know, it's not just song by song by song, but these instrumental pieces really give it like a different kind of side of creativity that I think like works really well in making this whole thing a pleasurable sonic journey from start to beginning and keeping in line with the themes. This one, I really like the use of like all the sequencers and the different synths and keyboards and such. So in this track, let me see. I'm just looking through. You're going to have Duncan McKay handling, of course, those synthesizers. I'm trying to see what else is here. You have some Wurlitzer from Parsons himself and Projectitron as well from him. And I'm not exactly sure exactly what else, but I'm just looking like through the credits list and such. But either way, I think that's really cool how this almost sounds like Alan Parsons' project mixed with like Tangerine Dream. And maybe it's just because of the sequencers and the ambience of it all. But I think that all works really cool. You have that pulse that acts like has the bass line, and then you have another line that comes on top of that. Then of course the ba da ba 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 ba. That just kind of adds that spark of a catchy melody in there, almost like a poppy instrumental track and melody in there, just to kind of like keep it catchy, keep it fun to listen to. And the way they kind of bounce back and forth between the two is really, really well done. Some decent percussion right beneath it all. But this is just a cool a cool dreamy kind of pulsating track. That's just catchy, you know? And then like here you have, to me, another sequencer right on top. You know what it actually more so reminds me of? Actually less so Tangerine Dream and actually more Jean Jajar. Like actually that's what this is really making me think of. I could actually hear something like that on like, maybe not exactly an Oxygen, but like something maybe right there after Zuluk or something. I don't know. But I think that sounds really cool. I like that it's just an instrumental. I like that we're just sitting there with the sequencers, with the keys and such, and then it just lets us ride. Lets us go. Let us go ahead and finish out the album with the final track, of which was kind of leading into, which is Shadow of a Lonely Man. Let me hit the ending one more time. That's a way to wrap up with the final track.
Look at me now, the shadow of the man I used to be. Look through my eyes, and through the years of loneliness you'll see. To the times in my life when I could not bear to lose a simple game, and the least of it all was the fortune and the fame. But the dream seemed to end just as soon as it had begun. at the end of the show, the shadow of a lonely man who feels nobody else. In the shadow of a lonely, lonely man, I can see myself.
There you go. I love those soft, gorgeous vocals beneath that.
But the sound of the crowds when they come to see me now is not the same. And the jest of it all is I can't recall my name. But I'll cling to a hope till I can't hold on anymore, anymore. And for all the acclaim, I am all alone. And I see as I look through the door the shadow of a lonely man. There's nobody else. In the shadow of a lonely, lonely man, I can see myself. Look at me now, a shadow of the man I used to be.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Alan Parsons Project Pyramid full album reaction. One done and complete. Shadow of a Lonely Man is an incredibly sweet and sentimental, absolutely musically emotional, blissful way to end the album. You're going to have John Miles on here, which we have listened to a little bit of music from him directly. And of course here with Alan Parsons, and he brings it 100%. I love how the orchestration around him is sweeping and gentle to kind of wrap up the album in this, like I said, deeply emotional and resonant way, with everything just there to really, I would say, push forward his voice towards those emotional stylings. And it ends things on a kind of, like, on one hand, in a bittersweet way. Through all the adventure, through all the, different sounds that we've had and explored, truly explored through this album, we end here just like, in a more straightforward contemporary way. And it's bittersweet in the way that, not musically, no, the music is fine. I'm talking about lyrically. I don't know if we actually got closure for this journey, Shadow of a Lonely Man. Did he actually get what he was looking for at the end? I'm not quite sure. And I feel like this track, perhaps out of all of the tracks in the album, maybe is most directly linked to the album cover, which we haven't really discussed or looked at, but we'll do so when we get into the lyrics. But otherwise, like I said, I think that this track was much more straightforwardly played. No weirdness, no, sequencers or anything like that. Just a very emotionally deep, resonant track to end the album. Let's look at the lyrics, though. Bring it all together. Look at me now, a shadow of the man I used to be. Look through my eyes, and through the years of loneliness, you'll see. To the times in my life when I could not bear to lose a simple game. and the least of it all was the fortune and the fame. But the dream seemed to end just as soon as it had begun. Was I to know? For the last thing of all that was on my mind was the close at the end of the show. The shadow of a lonely man feels nobody else. In the shadow of a lonely, lonely man, I can see myself. So he wasn't thinking of anything. The last thing on his mind was the close at the end of the show. He was more swept up in, for lack of a better word, the show rather than the ending. And perhaps once again, this kind of connects to the actual life and death concept in some ways of the album and the whole initial crossing over from life into death and the afterlife. And he's kind of looking at himself now. He looks at who he used to be, realizing that, oh, maybe I should have thought a little bit more, not just about the show, so to speak, about life, but how it ended and what I leave behind and who I leave myself behind. Looking out of nowhere. But the sound of the crowds when they come to see me now is not the same. And the gist of it all is I can't remember my name. But I'll cling to a hope till I can't hold on anymore. For all the acclaim, I am all alone. And I see as I look through the door the shadow of a lonely man. There's nobody else. Look at me now, the shadow of the man I used to be. Or this track could have no relation to the concept of the album, and it really could just be, a person who has acquired fame, stardom, all the things that they wanted, but they realize that they've acquired those things, but lost themselves and lost their soul in a sense. And all they realize now is they see the shadow of the man I used to be. They don't even see the man, or he doesn't even see the man he used to be. He only sees the shadow, just a mere after image, not even a true looking back of who he was. So, he's really found himself in this deeply sad and regrettable place, which, once again, the music captures that absolutely brilliantly and with a deep sadness that John Miles hits here. And I also see that it's not just Miles on this track. I believe that it also does have additional vocals, as it says, by Blundstone, once again returning from Eagle. So there you have it. We didn't have a lot more to read into the album from the page here. Pyramid was promoted in the UK through a nationwide cinema tour, where the original master tapes were played in cinemas around the country, which is kind of cool. These playbacks, described as simulated concerts, took place in 30 cities. Free tickets to these album playbacks were distributed via dealers and took place at local cinemas. I like that it was free for those. Posters, shop displays, trade ads, and special media bios were created to provide the album with additional publicity, and press advertisement was conducted in publications such as The Guardian and Sunday Times. And of course, it goes on from there. I think that this was a really, really nice album. I like how I feel like this one was so focused. And I mean, I expect that from Alan Parsons' project, but there's something about this album that it feels more focused than, I don't know. I guess it's not as progressive in some respects as some of what we heard, but on the other hand, it still is. It retains a lot of that. It just seems like it's a very tight album. I think maybe that's the way of thinking about it. It's very economical. Chart information, of course, 3 in German albums, 34 in Canada, US 26, and gold in many places. Platinum as well in Canada and Germany, 2 times in Canada there. I think that this was a really phenomenal album to listen to and a wonderful way to end the year. Favorite tracks? I really like One More River. One More River is really, really fantastic. I love the trio of the first 3 tracks as well. I really did enjoy Hyper Gamma as well. I think the first 4 songs are my favorite, I would say, on the album. That's where I would, if I had to put them up against each other, that's who I would toss in the ring. But as always, I want to know your thoughts. You got my thoughts, but let me know yours in the comments down below. Once again, I appreciate you all joining me and watching, and hopefully in listening to the album with me. The Buy Me a Coffee is there. It just went away. If you'd like to sponsor a song request, you can do that there. Patreon for is exclusive content as little as $2 a month. And then right here where you're watching on YouTube, as long as nothing got blocked. Excuse me. Pressing the like button and such goes a long, long way. Thank you all so much for being here. I appreciate you watching. Don't mind all the decoration. I gotta clean this up. I just have it. I kind of like took everything and I just kind of threw it out the wall and kind of let it go. But you know what? I kind of like it. more messy than anything back there. It actually kind of makes it more interesting, I think. Anyways, please enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you as always for being here. Please stop on again back by tomorrow, because you never know what we're doing, because most of the time I don't know what we're doing. And I will see you all later. Bye, guys.